I'm Alachua County Sheriff Sadie Darnell. Gang activity is responsible for many of the crimes in Alachua County and throughout our country. In this edited version of a law enforcement intelligence video, you will see how gangs recruit children as young as 8 years old.
Why are young people drawn into the gang lifestyle?
I'd say it's definitely the money, the cars. That's the first thing that gets any young gangster hooked. They see a lifestyle that they don't have. If they're from the hood, which a lot of them are, they see a lifestyle that they definitely want, and that's the first thing that's drawn to it. That, and they see a guy that's got a bunch of girls on his arm or something like that, they want to be a part of that.
Gang members come from both good households as well as from broken homes in impoverished neighborhoods.
Absolutely. You get gang members that come right from the suburbs. It's not unheard of. It's actually common in some parts. And of course, you get them in the poverty-stricken neighborhoods as well.
What are the age limits of today's gang members? And are girls allowed to join most gangs?
I wouldn't say there really is an age limit. Obviously, infants can't do it, but the younger the better, because it's easier to corrupt the mind the younger they are. It's all about being able to manipulate the person. I'd say about 8 years old. That's probably about the youngest you can get somebody. They got to be able to hold a gun. That's the main thing. If they can't hold a gun, then they're really not worth anything. And yes, girls are allowed. It's not looked upon as something that is a big thing, because obviously they're girls. And depending on how they get down into the gang, then obviously the respect level is not going to be there, as if they don't get beat in. But yeah, they're allowed. There's gangs just for girls.
What is a person required to do to be initiated into a gang?
It's a wide range of things, from anything from, if you'll go and do a drive-by, you go ahead and shoot somebody's house up, or take out another member of a gang as an initiation process, as opposed to getting beat in, or there's multiple tests you have to go through, as opposed to like getting a certain amount of money stacked up for your set. Also, you can just have to go on one mission. Maybe you have to go hit a lick with a robbery, something like that. Jumped in multiple gang members, normally 3 to 6 members for a certain amount of time, depending on what kind of gang it is, have to beat you in, and that's how you get initiated in. Some of them you can't even fight back while you're getting beaten. You just have to take the beating.
And once a member, how can you get out?
You can't. That's a law for every gang. Anyone that says they're out of a gang is lying. There's no such thing as getting out. There is such thing as being able to retire, but you're never fully out. If your gang calls upon you, you're needed, you have to show up. You got to do what you got to do. There's no such thing.
What are some early indicators or signs that a teacher, parent, or family member should be looking for if they think a child may be involved with a gang?
Definitely the way they dress. If a child decides to go with one type of color, like for instance, my mom, she failed to notice it, but my teacher tried to point it out to her, always wore all black all the time. If they're wearing one certain color, they wear blue all the time, they like to wear red. You go clothes shopping for your kid and they don't want anything but a certain color. Maybe they want a certain design on it, like the 5-point stars are really big, they just want shirts with nothing but those on them. They flag up on one side, like they roll their pant leg up, or they roll their shirt sleeve up, or they always kick their hat to one side for a certain reason. I'd say those are some indicators. Also the tagging. Tagging's big.
How do gangs identify prospective members? And once identified, how do they recruit new members into their ranks?
People that are, I'd say we look for people that are separated from the rest, like lone wolves. That's probably the best way, because it's all about corrupting the mind. If you can manipulate that mind, it's easier to draw someone in, as opposed to somebody who might be on the football team already and is a very popular person in school and already has a driven motive to do something good with their life. You don't want that type of person, because it's going to be harder to flip them. You prey on the weak. That's what you do.
Please explain the importance of tagging, or drawing graffiti to gang members, and how these signs and symbols are used to communicate.
Graffiti is highly important. It's how you mark your turf. It's how you let another set know that you're not supposed to come around here. This is ours. You do come here, it's going to be war. It also shows the level of numbers that you have in your set. You know, if you have a neighborhood that is completely tagged up with one set, well, then that's going to show you that this is a highly dominant area of nothing but, say, for instance, Crips. You know, this is just widely populated Crip area, and there's a lot of them if that's all you see. So it's very important. It's letting you know this is who we are. We're boss.
Do you think the school system in Gainesville, Alachua County, has students who are gang members or associates?
Absolutely. There were gang members when I was a student, you know. So I know there are now because the gang problems just proceeded to progress highly over the years, I'd say. Yeah, you got a gang problem.
If a child has already started skipping school and hanging out with people involved in gang activity, what steps, if any, can be taken to intervene at this point?
Well, I guess that really all depends on the parent. If there's a lack of discipline at home, then obviously the kid's going to get away with more. If the parent's really serious about stopping the issue, then I think either moving to an alternative school, homeschooling, if that's an option. Obviously, it's not with some parents that got to work. But you're going to have to change the people, places, and things about what's going on with your kid. You know, you might want to think about relocating if it's that big of a problem, if you're that worried about, you know, your kid going down that kind of road. Hopefully not, but, you know, that's a single situation kind of thing. You can't just apply that to everyone.
What types of crimes are gang members involved in?
Everything. Prostitution, robbery, homicide, extortion, definitely drug dealing. That is probably the utmost biggest one. That's how we make our money. So all of them and everything that ties with that. Obviously burglary, theft, larceny, anything like that.
At what age do they start?
I'd say anywhere from 12 to 15, probably the most common. You know, it'll probably start with smaller crimes, maybe breaking and entering or trespassing because they got caught before the crime happened, stuff like that. A lot of fighting, you know, obviously, batteries, things of that nature. In school, probably where they normally aren't going to catch a charge for it, you just get suspended for fighting. You know, like if your kid gets written up, say, 20 times in a year for fighting, well, maybe he's not just fighting, you know, maybe he's fighting for a reason, you know.
How important is recognizing there is an existing gang problem and addressing it rather than ignoring it and hoping it will go away?
I think that's huge. That's probably one of the biggest concerns that need to be taken action on, because if you don't recognize that there's a problem and you just ignore it, well, then it's never going to be dealt with, and it's just going to grow and fester just like a disease, which it is. It's already spreading ridiculously. I remember 15 years ago, no one even knew there was a gang here in Gainesville, but there was. And look what it is now. Maybe if it would have been recognized back then, it wouldn't be growing the way it is now, but it is, and it's growing at a ridiculous rate. So I think that's highly important. It needs to be dealt with, you know. As much negativity as it might bring, realizing that this great community, you know, with the university and all that, does have a gang problem, it's better to recognize it, nip it in the bud now, because in 10 years from now, imagine what it's going to be. You got a little mini Los Angeles on your hands. Then what? Nobody wants to recognize there's a gang problem in your city. You know, I mean, cities like Detroit and Chicago and New York, I mean, they have to. You have no choice but to recognize it. But a city like Gainesville, you know, which is recognized countrywide for its university and even Santa Fe, and I mean, this is just a good town to live in. People know this. I've been all across this country and people know Gainesville, but they don't know Gainesville has a gang problem.
What can be done in an effort to keep young people from ever joining a gang?
I think that getting out in the community, this is something that happens in a lot of bigger cities. A lot of older gang members, or not even just gang members, but people who recognize there is a gang problem, getting out to the youth and speaking to the community, going to the schools, holding public events, stuff like that, getting active in your community and letting them know preventative measures against gang activity, letting them know that there's a better lifestyle to go ahead and choose other than joining a gang, showing them the negative effects of it, you know. I'm kind of a believer in the Scared Straight program. I think that works really well in a lot of instances, because when you see up close and personal just what you could be involved in or how bad it could really get, then I think maybe you got something there. That's just a personal opinion.
And do you have any advice for parents of a child that may be involved with a criminal street gang?
I would say you need to be as involved with your child's life as you can. An absent parent is one of the easiest, I said for a child, it's one of the easiest ways to join a gang because you have the freedom to, you know. Little things like just taking your kid to a ball game or actually sitting down at the end of the day. I know you've been at work all day and it's been a long day, it's been rough, you don't want to hear the nagging going on or whatever. Sit down with your kid, ask him about his day, really ask him about his day. Ask him what's going on with his life. He might not want to tell you, but he's going to recognize in the back of his mind that, hey, you know, my dad, my mom's is trying to talk to me. They are trying to get at me. They're not just ignoring me, you know, because all teenagers are rebellious to an extent, but when they feel like they're being ignored by their parent or they feel like they're not getting that love at home, they are going to go look for it somewhere else. And if that gang is available for them to go and grab at, they're going to grab at it, you know, because that's the family. That's what's introduced as love, you know. When a gang member approaches you and they're trying to recruit you, all they're putting into your head is love, family, loyalty, honor. This is all stuff that you're supposed to be getting from your own family, you know. If you're not getting it at home, you're going to go get it somewhere.
What, if anything, will a dress code policy like our school board has instituted have on deterring gang activity in our schools?
Well, I think that's huge because you can't flag up then. You can't fly your colors. Some sets, like I know my set, we rock certain brand labels just to show who we are. When you can't do that, when everyone's on a uniform policy where we all wear the same thing, well, there's no diversity there, you know, so you really have no choice but to be able to go along with what everybody else is doing. So that right there stops you from flagging up, you know. And if there's a policy where even if you do have a uniform but you can't roll your pant leg up, well, you can't even fly your pant leg, you know. You're not going to rock a bandana in the middle of school, so I think that's huge.
While involved with a criminal street gang, do members solely exist on the street, or are they capable of holding jobs, careers, or have influential roles within the community?
They are. Might be a little scary, but they are. Just because they're part of a gang doesn't mean that they can't hold a regular job, you know. Some gangs encourage it because it's a legal way to show money. In this day and age, it's always important to be able to show legal money because if the money gets popped, that takes out the whole financial institution of a gang. You got to have the money. The money backs everything. Like, if my dope gets seized during a raid, that's fine because I can replace the dope. You take my money, that hurts. Now you've taken my stronghold. So that's huge. And yeah, it's not unheard of. It's common, actually. You know, I'm going to have a job and hustle at the side. That's bringing in 2 incomes. Now I'm doing even better, doing twice as good.
Sports apparel and colors are popularly used by criminal street gang members to represent themselves. Please explain the significance of teams, symbols, and colors.
I'm just going to use Gangster Disciples as an example. Gangster Disciples, stuff like Cowboys jerseys, Dallas Cowboys jerseys, although they have a 5-point star on them, the colors are representative of the Crips. The blue, the gray, the white, those are all Crip colors. And Cowboys actually stands for Crips Out West, banging on you slobs. Slobs is a derogatory meaning towards Bloods. Chicago Cubs jerseys are rocked by Gangster Disciples just because Chicago, Chi-Town, that's where Gangster Disciples were born from. Chicago Red Wings jerseys, same thing. Stuff like rocking Nike. Nike just means many meanings for us. One of them is now I know enough, which is referring to our knowledge. So we all rock Nike. Feli's, folks I love always, that's what it stands for. Adidas, all day I diss a slob. Even backwards, slobs all die in dark alleys. Dada, which is not a very common gear, but it's still around. They rock a 3-point crown. That's representative of us. PUMA, powerful United Mafia Agency. Just, there's so many. I could go on for like the next hour or two about all of our meanings, but each one is representative of, you know, who we are. If you see me in an all Dada outfit, obviously I'm wearing it for a reason. Not everybody is, but more than likely, yeah, we are, you know. And colors, it's all about the color scheme. If I'm wearing black, blue, or white, then I'm probably a gangster disciple if I'm rocking that particular outfit right there. But at the same time, we can also rock red just because we're trying to throw off either the police or throw off our enemy. I'm going to come dressed as my enemy if I'm going to hit a crime, because I don't want you to think that I'm a G. I'd rather you think that, you know, I'm a blood. And I'd rather the police think that too, because then you're going to go looking for the bloods.
Popular culture has significant impact on the youth in America. Are there influential subjects within the television, movie, or music industry which have helped popularize the gangster lifestyle?
I'd say music more than anything. Now more than ever, I guess back in the day you used to see a little bit of promotion with, like, when Snoop first came out, obviously he's a Crip and he represents who he is. And you know, like when Tupac was out, he was an outlaw. He was actually a Crip and a Blood, but he came from the Black Panther movement. His mom and his dad were both part of the Black Panther movement. So it wasn't as much back then, but now you have rappers like Lil Wayne, The Game, Dipset. Those are all Bloods. They highly promote being a Blood. You have them giving out call-outs to their Blood sets, and now you have people claiming Blood sets underneath their call-outs, not even knowing what they're speaking about. And it's not just them. I mean, we have gangsters that are rappers too, you know, and yeah, music though is the hugest. I wouldn't say so much television. I mean, television's always going to promote that. You can go back to Scarface and stuff like that, and that's promoting a gangster lifestyle, so that's always going to be there. It's entertainment, but the music is huge. It is promoted as something that it's okay to do. You know, everybody listens to Lil Wayne. I know, you know, 40, 50-year-old people who know who Lil Wayne is. You know, my mom knows who Lil Wayne is. So it's nothing that's uncommon, and now it's looked at like something to look up to. Let's look up to this guy because he's a famous rapper. He's got $100,000 in his mouth, you know? Who doesn't want that? That's a house right there, you know? I just really want to say one thing I feel is of the utmost importance. Maybe just to go ahead and establish how serious this really is. This is an excerpt from a birth creed that we have in our nation. It's just a small piece of it. It says, in our nation, in order to survive, we must feast on any prey we can. We are marked as beast, and as we sit at the feast, we realize our prey is man. Our prey is man. I cannot stress that enough. We don't prey on anyone else. We prey on mankind, the humans, whether they are free people in this society, whether they're other gang members, whether they're inside of our own gang. This is who we prey on to make money, to get them to do what we want to do. We are the puppeteers that control the strings. You know, we are not there doing good. We're not there putting up legal businesses and turning our community into places where you want your kids to go and be a part of. We are trying to manipulate your children. We are trying to take them down a path that you won't be able to bring them back from. We're trying to make sure that they will be locked up for the rest of their lives behind the shit that we are going to do. And we are serious about it, and it's not going to stop. And you take me away, there's going to be somebody else to replace what I'm doing. It is a never-ending cycle, and it is sick. For a gangster, his set, his flag, his nation, and all that comes with it is his religion. In folk, there is but one God, and his name is Larry Michael Hoover. Kids who have never met, seen, or ever will see worship the ground that this man walks on. They will rob, they will beat, maim, and kill in the name of a man. Just a man. That's some powerful stuff when you look at it like that. A person willing to give their life for a man they don't even know. For beliefs that are so polluted, the original meaning was lost decades ago. If you're willing to put your life on the line, do it for something that's actually worth it, not just for a man rotting in a prison cell waiting for you to join him. That's what I really want to say. This will be the end of your life if you choose to go this route. It really will. I don't care how high up you go.
I encourage you to share this information with family and neighbors to assist us in combating these violent criminals.